Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome to the first part of my playthrough of Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. This is a very requested series on my channel. I've seen a lot of comments of people requesting this game, asking when are you going to play this game. So I know there's probably a lot of people that clicked on this that are really excited for this. But this is the only Ace Attorney game that I have never played. I have played every single Ace Attorney game except the Miles Edgeworth game. So I haven't played the first and second Miles Edgeworth game. I haven't played it. And Miles Edgeworth is actually my favorite Ace Attorney character, but I've never gotten the chance to play his game because it wasn't available. It was only available on mobile, and I didn't really want to play it on mobile. I'm not a mobile gamer. I like Miles Edgeworth so much that I even have his avatar as I even have his avatar right here. So that's what I've always used on PlayStation. But anyways, about it, is this game, this came out in September, last year. I didn't get the chance to play it because I had a lot of other games that I was covering, but I've actually played a lot of Ace Attorney games on the channel before, so if you're interested in the Ace Attorney series, I have played the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I did that back in October of 2021. Remember, I did the Apollo Justice trilogy. I did that last year. And I also played the original Phoenix Wright games. I did play those, and I beat all of them. I just didn't play that one on the channel before, but I did beat that one years ago. This is, like I said, this is the only one I haven't played, and if you're new to the channel, I tend to dress up as the characters that I play as, so I hope that you guys like my, Miles Edgeworth, cosplay here. I even got, like, his, kind of, like, necktie here. I got his vest under here, so I hope that you guys like the cosplay. But anyways, about this game is very different than a lot of the other Ace Attorney games. This game, you walk around, you actually control your character as you're walking around, you get evidence, and most importantly, you play as the prosecutor, where in the other Ace Attorney games, it was more like point and click. Here, I do know you can walk around, but you play as the prosecutor in this one, where every single other Ace Attorney game you play as the lawyer. This one, you're playing as the prosecutor. You're playing as Miles Edgeworth. And for people wondering, when does this game take place? This game takes place between the original Phoenix Wright trilogy, so when the final, Phoenix Wright game ended, and in between the first Apollo Justice game. So it's right in between the Phoenix Wright trilogy and the Apollo Justice trilogy. It's right in the middle of that. That's when this game takes place. So anyways, let's do it. Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. And also, a lot of my fans have been watching Yakuza. If you like Japanese games, you're definitely gonna like these games. These games have really good stories and really good writing. There is 10 murder cases in this game. So we're gonna start the first murder case here. But these games get very challenging. They get, sometimes they get very difficult. So you have to really use your head when you're thinking about a lot of these things. Title selection. Okay, let's do it here. New game. And so this game was never available on console. It was available on mobile, and I think it was in Japan also for some time, so it was exclusive to Japan. But now it's on console, and the pixel art, this is what the game used to look like, but when the game got remastered, you can see the game looks a lot better, so they did a great job remastering it. Start from this episode, Turnabout Visitor. Yeah, let's do it. March 14, 1:16 a.m. Oh, it's right around March 2. We're playing this. To make sure the defendant is found guilty, what other choice do I have? That's the job of a prosecutor, after all. That may be true, but why? Why go to this far? Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear enough, but a guilty verdict is all that matters to me. No matter what the cost. That's in Miles Edgeworth's office. So this is the killer. I'm a prodigy among prosecutors. Always have been, always will be. Now, in a lot of these cases, So when an Ace Attorney case starts, the Ace Attorney cases in the games, a lot of them start out differently. Some Ace Attorney cases, they start out, you actually know who the killer is. So you actually see the killer within the first minute. There's like a little cutscene like that basically plays what happened. Other cases, you might see the murder happen, but you might not see the killer. And sometimes the murder actually happens in the middle of the case. So like you're not even in the case yet, but there's a little bit of a story going on and then somebody's found dead. So stuff like that happens. But anyways, let's go through here. Prosecutor's building, 12th floor, hallway. It's hard to believe that I've been away from my office for a whole month. Also, Edgeworth has like the little necktie above the suit. Okay, not in the suit. Okay, want to make sure I got that right. There. I hope Detective Gumshoe has been keeping an eye on my office and keeping it clean. The door's unlocked. Detective Gumshoe? What's the smell? It's very familiar. Blood? What the? What's the meaning of this? Freeze. Identify yourself. Shut up. You've got some nerve committing murder in a prosecutor's office. Is that a threat? Let me make one thing very clear. What? No one gets away with committing murder in my office. No one. My name is Miles Edgeworth, and I work as a prosecutor in my local district. Little did I know that upon my return home after a month abroad, I would be thrusted into a multitude of cases and some very frantic and busy days. March 14, 2:56 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office. Offices, room 1202. Another thing I wanted to comment on is that not only is the gameplay going to be different in this one than in other Ace Attorney games, but also the personality of the main character. So, Miles Edgeworth is a very, one of the reasons he's my favorite character in the Ace Attorney games is because Miles Edgeworth is a very serious, no-nonsense guy. So he's not like Phoenix, where Phoenix is very goofy at times, and Apollo can be a bit goofy, but a little bit more serious than Phoenix. When it comes to Miles Edgeworth is very strict. He's very straightforward, no nonsense, no BS, get straight to the point. That's the type of guy that he is. So Phoenix, while he's funny, has his jokes, goofy, Miles Edgeworth is that very serious guy. So, and also, I love Phoenix Wright as a character, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that they have very different personalities. I finished photographing the victim's body, sir. Very well. Please continue your investigation. Yes, sir. Ah! Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Are you okay, sir? Keep it down, detective. This is a crime scene. When I heard that a murder had taken place in your office, I ran up here straight away. This is Dick Gumshoe. He's a detective with the local precinct. So, I remember him from the original Phoenix Wright games. He didn't appear in the Apollo Justice games. Maybe this game will explain why he didn't. But he was the main detective before you encountered Fulbright in the Apollo Justice games. But about him is Gumshoe has a good heart. He's not corrupt, but he's a bit of an idiot. So he's kind of a stupid detective. And the other, and the one they assigned to handle this murder case for the time being. You're looking a little pale, sir. Are you hurt? No, I'm perfectly fine. However,
Ah! Look what they did to your office. It's totally trash.
I'll say, the culprits sullied my floor of dirt rather well. No one gets away with tracking mud into my office.
Whoa! Sounds like you're getting really burned up over this whole thing.
This crime was committed in my office, so it is my responsibility to solve it.
Oh, that's just like you, Mr. Edgeworth. Okay, time to do some investigating.
Agreed. Our first course of action is to gather relevant facts and leads. We must not overlook anything, no matter how small, if we are to find the truth. So I'll keep any leads or information we find etched in the forefront of my mind. Speaking of things that pique my curiosity, why of all places did the murder occur in my office? So right here you get a very good introduction to Miles Edgeworth. That he is handling the situation very differently. He's absolutely furious, absolutely angry. If this was Phoenix in this situation, Phoenix would be kind of panicking and getting ready to investigate, but Miles Edgeworth is more just absolutely furious that this happened in his office. Is it really a coincidence? Crime scene, my office. Is it really coincidence that the murder took place in my office? Probably not. Why of all places did the murder occur in my office? I get the nagging feeling that this is something important to keep in mind. Yeah, I was wondering that myself, sir.
I mean, you can't really say just a coincidence, can you?
No, not really, especially because of this.
The key to your office?
For security reasons, this office door has a lock built into it.
What do you mean, sir?
If you think about it carefully and use logic, it should become clear to you.
Logic?
By finding the connection between two pieces of information and connecting them, new information is born. That is the end result of using logic.
So, how do you use it?
First, I recall the information we gathered with L1, and then I connect them together with triangle. Now, to use L1 and recall the facts. Okay, is it a really crime scene in my office? And this is what I love about the Ace Attorney games. My favorite thing about them is, when you're putting basically the pieces, the clues together, and you're just solving the whole crime. And the game makes you feel like a genius when you solve the whole thing. For security reasons, this office and the office key, connect these two. For security reasons, all prosecutors' doors are outfitted with locks, which means it would have been hard for the murderer and the victim to get in here. They had a key. Ergo, it's impossible to dismiss the location of this crime as mere coincidence.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, sir.
There must be a reason why someone infiltrated my room. What was the killer after? Why did this happen in my office? What was the killer after? The killer's goal.
You're really on the ball today, Mr. Edgeworth. That's some beautiful logic, sir.
Yes, well, when you follow leads to their conclusion, only the truth remains. However, if the information doesn't line up properly, I may stray far from the truth as well. But if I think carefully before piecing leads together, the logic should flow. Well, let's get started with our investigation, shall we?
Yes, sir.
High Prosecutor's Office, room 1202.
The basis of any good investigation is to examine everything, sir.
I know that, and when I want to examine something, I simply use X when I'm next to it.
Oh, if you ever feel lost and want to talk, just use triangle, okay? I'll give you great precise advice as an ace investigator, sir.
Something to try later if I have free time, I suppose. The gun. What have we here? Could this perhaps be the murder weapon? If so, it will mean that the killer made their escape after disposing of their gun here. I
think I've seen one of these before.
Care to enlighten me as where?
Oh, I know. I was issued the exact same model. I think.
Detective.
I don't really like guns all that much. I mean, they're really dangerous. But But now that I think about it, you do see this model around the precinct a lot, sir. I don't use mine much, except in emergencies, so that's why I didn't recognize it.
So it's the same type of revolver as the ones used by this precinct's detectives. Found at the crime scene. It's the same model as those used by precinct detectives. The deceased could be a detective. Do you have anything to report? Sir, yes, sir. Nothing out of the ordinary right now, sir. Yet, there's something out of the ordinary right in front of my eyes.
Talk about a contradiction.
Something out of the ordinary, huh? I should look around a bit more. When he shot that painting, I'm noticing that there's a safe back there.
Ouch, they even knocked over your chess set.
I had it all set up, ready for when you
got back. I figured we could play a few games.
I had no idea you were interested in chess.
I'm actually pretty good at checkers, so I thought I'd give chess a try.
In that case, I suppose I can set some free time aside after we solve this case. Though I don't expect the games to tax my mental acuity much. They finished photographing the body, so it should be alright to examine this area. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Wallet. What do we have here?
Hey, I think I've seen one of these before.
It's a police badge, detective. Oh, a police badge.
Oh, hey! I have the exact same thing, actually. What a coincidence.
Let's take a look inside. Mr. Buddy Faith, detective. So, I was right. He was a detective that was killed. It would appear that our victim was a detective, just like you. According to his badge and ID, Buddy Faith was a precinct detective, so we can link those two together already. I seem to have gathered a few pieces of pertinent information. Now to calmly use some logic and figure out if any of them are connected to each other. Let's see here. There's blood all over his lower abdominal area. It looks like the bullet passed clean through his stomach area, sir. In other words, he was shot.
Yup, and until the autopsy's done, I don't think we'll know much more than that.
Please have the body sent to the morgue once they're done processing the crime scene. Bullet went clean through the victim's abdomen. The body was found at around 2:05 a.m.
Are you going to be okay with keeping track of the evidence we find, sir?
Of course. This is the safest way I know to keep track of it all.
Alright, if you say so.
Keep all the evidence I find either in or with my organizer. When I want to re-examine a piece, I have but press R1 to open my organizer. But the organizer isn't only for evidence. I keep people's profiles on hand in it too. It's probably a good idea to make a habit of checking the facts often. What's with this bloodstain here? Did he write something?
I don't believe it. I packed those files on the shelf so tight that not even an earthquake can make them fall off. But just look at them. At this rate, the rest of the files won't be able to withstand an earthquake at all.
A problem to be sure. Well, once the investigation is over, we'll put them back up on the shelf.
Your files are all over the floor, sir.
They probably fell during a struggle between the victim and his killer. My files are a mess, pointing to a struggle between the victim and the killer.
Oh, and I tried so hard to keep this place spotless while you were away. I mean, this just rendered, all the time and effort I put in pointless.
I don't recall ever asking you to clean my room.
Well, I watered the flowers every day just like you requested, sir. I just added cleaning to the list as a weekend special. For about half a day every Saturday, I'd come in and clean the place until it sparkled.
Does he have a life?
Huh. Oh, watch out for the teacup fragments there, sir.
That killer is going to pay this tea set.
Yikes, you're really mad over this.
This tea set is very dear to my heart, and can only be bought in England. It costs more than your whole month's paycheck.
What? Now I feel like the killer wasted one of my monthly paychecks. Oh, it's your trophy, the, Knight of Prosecutors, right?
King. King of Prosecutors. It's not a trophy, it's a shield.
They only send this to the winning prosecutor, right?
Yes, but I have no real interest in the perceived worth of other people. As for my own worth, that is something only I can determine for myself.
That's so slick, sir. I'm gonna have to try saying that sometime.
Unfortunately for him, his monetary worth is tied directly to his worth to me. Well, it's a good thing my Steel Samurai doll was spared any harm. The Steel Samurai, an icon of the Ace Attorney games.
Speaking of which, I still haven't sat down and watched any of that show. What's it about again?
Well, I don't know much about it myself, but the hero of the Steel Samurai, warrior of Neo Old, Tokyo, is the Steel Samurai. And his goal is to defeat the evil magistrate. It's a show geared towards kids. However, its high production values and riveting plot draws in a number of adults as well. Spin-offs like Pink Princess, Warrior of Little Old, Tokyo, and the Nickel Samurai, along with a deluge of merchandise and even a new stage show, gives it presence.
You sure know a lot. Are you sure you're not some sort of rabid fanboy?
The reality is Edgeworth actually watches the show a lot.
Of course not.
Anyone that keeps up with society knows at least this much. And that conversation lasted longer than expected. Let us return to the investigation. How is it coming along? Please, I need absolute silence. Fingerprinting, lifting is a delicate art. Well, I never. I hope we can solve this case quickly. I'd like to return to relaxing on the sofa.
That thing looks a billion times softer than my mattress at home. Can I sit on it too? Just for a little while, sir?
Detective Gumshoe, you know I can't allow that. Until this case is solved, neither of us have time to spare, let alone rest.
You're right, sir. I'm gonna work hard and be a real trooper to the end.
Even once this case is over, I don't think he can afford to take any time off. Okay. Proof of my profession. Profiles. A detective in this precinct and the victim. Why was he killed in my office? Homicide detective local precinct in charge of initial investigation. Bullet went clean through the victim's abdomen. The body was found around 2:05 a.m. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Why did this happen in my office? What was the killer after? We don't know, we don't know what the killer's motive yet is. According to his badge and ID, Buddy Faith was a precinct detective. Buddy Faith. Buddy Faith. The thing is, though, is that a lot of the Ace Attorney characters, their names, if you say them really quickly, they tend to mean something. Like, they signify something about their character. Buddy Faith, Buddy Faith. I'm not sure what that could mean. Faith in a buddy? But victim was a detective. And found the crime scene. It's the same model used by the precinct detectives. Yeah. So this one. The revolver and the victim was a detective. I'm pretty sure these match. Let's see. Connect them. The revolver, the standard model used by detectives. Could it have belonged to our recently departed? Detective Gumshoe, could you please thoroughly check the victim's body one more time?
Yes, sir. On it now, sir.
Excuse me, pal.
Let's see, what have we got here? Mr. Edgeworth, sir. This guy's wearing a gun holster.
So it appears that our killer somehow managed to take the victim's gun from him. It can be assumed that this gun is the murder weapon. It was issued to the victim's revolver. Let's see what else we can find out about this revolver. As I always say, you've got to look real carefully at each piece of evidence. You can use R to rotate any object. There's no such thing as a bad angle. Use L1 and R1 to zoom in.
Use L1 and R1 to zoom in and out to get at the nitty-gritty.
What's with this crack? What is this? Well, it's not a crack, it's a horse. One shot. It looks like only one round was fired from this.
Well, so the killer, killed the Vic with just one shot after wrestling the gun from him. Sounds like the guy knew how to handle a gun, huh, Mr. Edgeworth?
We have no proof for now, but that is a distinct possibility. I guess this is all about we're going to find out. We should send the body to, Jim! Why, oh why, how could this have happened to a guy like you? It's the killer. Are you alright? Don't touch me! Leave me alone! Just let me be! Sorry, but I can't do that. The investigation is still ongoing, so please refrain from touching the body. The body? The body? Don't talk about him like that. He's just some lump of flesh. Wow, he's really putting on a show. He is really putting on a show right now. Yeah, that's the killer right there. If I didn't see that cutscene at the start, I'd still be convinced that he's the killer. Because he's just acting so innocent. Oh, my friend is dead. Oh, no, no, boo-hoo. Look at him. Jim looks like he's just turned in for the night.
Sure, just in bloodstained suit, pal.
Where are my manners? Aren't you that prosecutor? Why, yes, I am. Jack, Portsman. Jack Portsman, prosecutor. Jax Portsman. That's French, I know that. I'm gonna see, how do you pronounce that? How do you pronounce, Jax? Okay, I think I got it. Jacques Portsman. That's how you pronounce his name. Yeah. But it's French though. Jim here was my partner in crime busting. I'm Miles Edgeworth, and like you, I'm also a prosecutor.
Detective, Dick Gumshoe, sir.
So you're Miles Edgeworth. I guess this is your office. Yes, that is correct. Then it was you. You're the one who killed Jim. How did he even know that the murder was here? Like, how did he even know that Jim was dead here?
Hey, don't go around jumping to conclusions, pal. Just calm down, okay?
I will not. I know how things work around here. High Prosecutor's office doors all have locks built into them. And only the owner of the office has the key to his or her own office door. That is correct. However, I was not the one who killed your partner.
Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth has been overseas on a business trip this whole time, pal. And the key to this door was with me the entire time, okay? So the only one who could have got in here was me. Oh!
Oh my... He just literally, made himself look really bad.
Wait, that means... I'm not sure what that means.
So it's you then. You're Jim's killer.
No way, pal. You've got it all wrong.
Everyone calm down. Mr. Portsman, correct. If you are a real prosecutor, you should know how to stay collected. The investigation has only just begun. Isn't it too early to be drawing conclusions? Alright, I get the point. You're right, my mistake. I tend to get a little too hot-headed sometimes. You sure are one cool customer, though, Mr. Edgeworth. I've heard all the rumors about you. You're the great genius prosecutor. I'll put my camera in the middle so you can see him. You're something of a legend, you know. Anyway, let's call a truce and work together, okay? Now, how about a handshake to seal the deal? A pleasure to work with you. You guys were conducting, your investigation, right? Sorry for barging in like that. Carry on, then. It's your room, after all. Thank you, I intend to. I just want a little more time to say goodbye to Jim. You there. Sir. want you to capture this scene on film for me. My final farewell to my partner, Jim. I should probably give them some space.
Ah, your jacket, sir. What's it doing on the floor?
It must have fallen off the wall when the killer tried to threaten me by firing a round.
So the killer not only shot the victim, but they shot your jacket as well?
They dared
to shoot the ultra special jacket that you made your prosecutorial debut in.
So when Edgeworth was a young prosecutor, he actually wore that jacket in one case in the original Ace Attorney trilogy. He actually wore that.
What if they had shot through it? It would have been a disaster.
It's not worth getting worked up over, Detective. Not when there's something more here.
Huh? Like what?
The safe. I take it you haven't noticed it yet, Detective. There is a giant contradiction right here in front of us.
Really?
Did I say contradiction? He must be rubbing off on me. I'm starting to sound like him. He's talking about Phoenix. But I have my own methods, and I will conduct this investigation my way. When the scene before me contradicts a piece of evidence, or seems off, that's when my deductive skills come into play. First, I have to find the spot that holds the contradiction. This is it. This bullet hole is where the contradiction lies. When I spot something that's off, I should point my cursor at it and press triangle with conviction. Deduce. And when I have found sufficient proof to prove the contradiction, I present it. This is how I do things. Only one shot fired. Right, that's the contradiction. He was shot, the guy was shot once, but then there was another bullet hole in the wall. Yeah, it's the gun. This bullet hole is the contradiction.
What do you mean, sir?
It's elementary. 2 shots were fired in this room. The first felled the victim. And the second felled, this frame.
Hey, that's right.
However, this gun was only fired once.
Hey, that's true too.
Which means that one of these 2 bullets was fired from a different gun. Did the killer have another gun prepared for tonight? Other than the victim's gun that I found, could there be another gun in play here?
By the way, I noticed something, sir.
Yes?
What's that thing sticking out from behind the frame?
Oh, that. It's a secret safe.
A secret safe? Oh, I smell money.
I'll spare us the trouble and just say it. Nothing like what you're imagining is inside. Now, if you could kindly move this frame out of the way.
Roger that. Who? Talk about Dusty.
I suppose that's what happens when I'm not here to dust it once in a while.
I had no idea there was a safe here, or I've kept it clean for you, sir. So when did you put this thing in?
It wasn't something I'd installed personally. Every prosecutor's office has one.
Really? I had no idea.
Well, only prosecutors are supposed to have knowledge of their existence.
So, what's inside, Mr. Edgeworth?
Right now, nothing. We only use them to store especially important information when a trial is in session.
That's it? Talk about squashing my hopes and dreams.
Each prosecutor has one in the office. Only they know of them. Trial evidence use. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Now this is odd.
You found something, sir?
This keypad. Don't you find it a bit too clean?
Yeah, there's a thick layer of dust all around it, but not on the keypad itself.
You there, the forensic scientist. Yes, sir. Could you please dust this area for fingerprints? You got it, sir. I couldn't find, let alone lift a single print. Looks like it was wiped down well. All the fingerprints on this have been wiped clean off. So, the killer was trying to get in the safe, but why? Secret safe data updated in my organizer. As I thought. It appears that logic is the only way around this setback. Time to rationally and calmly connect the dots with the information we have. Why did this happen in my office? What was the killer after? Wiped fingerprints. All the fingerprints on this have been wiped clean off. I think it's this. Let's see if I'm right. Yep, I'm right. I believe I figured out what the murderer was after.
Well, what was it, sir?
The fact that the safe was wiped clean of fingerprints suggests that the criminal had at least attempted to open my safe, making the culprit's motive for breaking and entering theft, I believe. The culprit tried to open my safe. Was the killer's motive theft? I wonder if knowing that the motive behind this break-in was theft changes what the other piece of information can tell me about this crime. Okay. Oh, here we go. The culprit tried to open my safe. What was the killer's motive? Signs of a struggle. My files were a mess, pointing to a struggle between the victim and the killer. There was no struggle. He was instead looking for something in the files. Let's see if I'm right. There is a possibility that the files splayed on the floor are not the result of a struggle between the victim and his killer.
Oh, you mean like it could be from when the killer tried to find something, sir?
Precisely. We need to figure out if any of the files have been stolen.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna shelve files like you've never seen before, even at a library.
Sure. Let's give that a try. Why do all the good ones always die young? Surely you must ponder that every once in a while, Mr. Edgeworth. No matter how much we lament, the dead will not come back to life. All we can do is search for the truth. And, so what are we supposed to do? How do we go about finding the truth? First, we calmly restore the files to their rightful place. You got it, here, let me help. No, don't let him help.
So this file goes here, and that book goes there?
You sure know a lot about where things go, despite it being, Mr. Edgeworth's office.
Because I'm the one who keeps it tidy, pal. Okay, done.
It would appear that the murder was definitely committed here.
Oh, the bloodstains on the bookshelf are still fresh.
I suspect that the victim was killed in a standing position, hence the prints on the shelf.
And then the guy fell on the floor, right? The blood on the floor is kind of grossing me out.
Detective, I don't have the time to deal with, your weak stomach right now.
But you know I'm no good with blood, sir.
How can you be a homicide detective and be scared of blood? I'm certain there's something wrong with this picture. Yeah, like... something's wrong here. The hands, the blood prints. Appears that the victim was in a sitting position here after being shot.
Oh, so that's why the seat of the victim's pants has blood on it.
That'll be the logical conclusion. What's with this? The victim's handprints. He must have tried to support himself with his hands here after being shot.
There are prints on the floor, too.
Those must have been made, when unable to stay standing. He dropped to the floor.
So this is where the bullet lodged itself after it went through the victims, huh? For the bullet to be lodged so squarely in a file spine.
Indicates the files were ransacked after the shooting had occurred.
Then I guess the victim was moved because he was in the killer's way.
The killer moved the body because he was leaning against a bookshelf. The blood on this guy's pants proves that pretty well. In a sense, I suppose.
See? I'm not completely useless, Mr. Edgeworth.
this spot connected to any evidence that I have. Bullet went clean for the victim's abdomen. Body was found around 2:05 a.m. There is clearly a contradiction here with this bullet hole.
What do you mean, sir?
You don't see. Quite simply, the bullet hole itself is too low, yeah. If the victim was shot in the stomach, the hole should be much higher up. He had to have been sitting.
But what if the guy was shot while he was sitting or lying down, sir?
That would be illogical. The victim leaned against his the shelf here after being shot, which suggests that he was standing when he was shot. Yeah, it's weird. He got shot in the really lower part, but he was leaning against the shelf.
Then that means... Wait, what does that mean, sir?
It means you need to use your brain every once in a while instead of mine, detective. In any case, it means someone made a faulty assumption. And it was from this mistake that our current contradiction was born. What is the faulty assumption that caused this problem with the bullet hole's position? I pressed X too quickly. If the victim was shot while he's lying down, wait.
Then you say that line of reasoning is illogical, sir. You said the victim leaned against the shelf here after being shot.
I was trying to be nice and explain my complex logic in an easier way for you, detective.
Oh, really? Thanks for thinking of me, sir.
Good, I don't think he noticed my mistake. What is the faulty assumption that caused the problem with the bullet hole's position? The position of the handprints. Yeah, it's that's what was so weird about that. The position of the handprints is what's causing this problem. We wouldn't be in this dilemma if the handprints were closer to the ground. But the handprints are where they are, up top. Yes, you are quite perceptive, which is why this is not a viable hypothesis.
Oh, so it's a what if? Then what's the right answer?
Still can't figure it out. Then allow me to explain.
Yes, please, sir.
Guess he didn't notice the slip-up. Although, at this point, I shouldn't be surprised. Oh, it's the order of the files. Damn. How could I be so stupid? The files were put in the wrong place. The files were higher up. They were higher up. Which means if the bullet went through the file, there's probably gonna be a hole in the wall where he was shot. So the files were higher up. Somebody put the file lower on the ground. That's what happened. The order of the files, that's it. I believe the order of the files is a bit off.
You mean I put them back in the wrong order just now? Hey, actually, I think the labels on the files are wrong, sir.
Oh?
Yeah, you see here how the files that were shot, begin with the number O? What are those doing all the way down here after 1, 2, and 3? That's really weird.
Actually, the way they are organized now is the correct order. They are exactly as I see them in my mind's eye.
But the numbers are all out of order.
Those white binders are special, so they are arranged a little differently. But from this, we know that the files were not in this order when the crime occurred.
Aha!
So that's it. I believe the killer made the same incorrect assumption as you just did, detective. Let's rearrange the files in numerical order and see what we find out. Yeah, I was right, it was higher up.
Do you think that'd be okay to prop that body back up to how it was before it was moved?
They finished processing the crime scene, so I don't see why it wouldn't be. If you please, Detective Gumshoe. As I suspected, the bullet hole is now where it logically should be. So that's what happened. He was standing like this, and he got shot, and then he went lower. Wait, does that say something on the bookshelf? Look on the bottom right. That says something. The killer, what does that say? Is that gum? The killer went through my files before shooting Mr. Faith.
and then put the files back in numerical order, I guess.
Exactly. And then proceeded to shoot the victim.
But why would someone kill a man and then look through your files one more time?
Puzzling indeed. The files were thrown into disarray twice. Once before and once after the crime, but why? The culprit rearranged my files twice. Once before and once after the murder, why? Now the crime scene just as it was at the time of the murder. Time to give it another look. This is bothering me really badly here. This.
What is that? Why does it say gumshoe on there in blood?
I'd say that's some incredibly incriminating evidence.
Yes,
Indicative of criminal activity, indeed.
No, wait. There's gotta be some mistake. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me. Say something, sir.
It appears that one of my files was stolen.
Is that all, sir? What about me and my situation?
Is this what the killer was really after? One of the files that were written upon in blood was stolen by the culprit. Investigation complete. Looks like Jim was able to leave us the name of his killer in the end. And this most important message managed to reach us. He's framing Gumshoe.
I'm telling you, it wasn't me.
You can't be terribly pleased to hear that your beloved partner is the guilty party. If you are going to accuse Detective Gumshoe of being the culprit, I sincerely hope you have some proof to back it up. Jim's words, they're more than enough, wouldn't you say? If that's how you want to play it, then at least allow me to understand your reasoning. You got it? I don't like this one bit. There's something strange about this man's attitude. And there must be some sort of flaw in his logic waiting for me to dig out.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you going to do?
What I always do in court. I'm going to cross-examine him. One way or another, I'll expose the flaw in his logic with this technique.
Oh, how do you do that? Can you explain it to me, sir?
Might as well. Alright, first I listen to the witness's testimony. If I find a flaw in the testimony, something that contradicts the evidence, I open my organizer of R1 and present a piece of contradictory evidence. To present something, I simply use triangle, but that's old news.
But it's not like there's gonna be a flaw in their testimony every time, right?
Correct. And at those times, I need to press the witness with L1. Sometimes by pressing, I can draw out new information, and new or modified testimony.
I think I get it, sir. I'll be sure to try this technique out during investigations, too.
Very well. I'll even show you how it's done. Now watch carefully. Mr. Portsman's logic. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. Argument. Furthermore, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed theft instead. That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf. But thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding. And it will be by his final words that you will be brought to justice. You intend to argue that the victim's dying message points to his killer. I can hear Jim's voice, and he's calling for his killer's arrest. Are you sure you're not mishearing his words, Mr. Portsman? There is no way Detective Gumshoe is the culprit here. I will find the flaw in this man's logic, and expose it with credible evidence. Rebuttal. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. You know, there's something I've been meaning to ask. What is that? Why do you call the victim Jim, when clearly his name is Buddy Faith? Isn't it obvious? Jim is the perfect name for my companion. Jacques and Jim. Don't those two names go together like peanut butter and jelly?
But Jim isn't even close to the guy's real name.
Well, Jacques and Buddy just sounds off somehow. Besides, he was the third of a bunch of guys assigned a nickname Jim. He talks about the victim like he was his pet. Further, You messed up the files to make it look like you had committed theft instead.
Hold it!
Do you really think it was necessary, to disable my shelves twice to do that? That's true. Okay, then maybe his real intent was theft.
Hey! Are you accusing me of stealing something from Mr. Edgeworth?
It's a possibility. Maybe your salary's been cut so much that life is getting a little too rough for it to handle.
I'll have you know that I eat 3 square meals every day, pal. Okay, so all 3 of them happen to be instant noodles, but...
Poor thing. What an evil prosecutor you were paired up with. And what a motive, no? That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf.
Hold it!
And why would Detective Gumshoe do such a thing? Because the body was getting in his way. He had to mess up your bookshelf somehow, right? Anyway. But thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding.
Hold it!
Why do you think that the killer didn't notice the bloody letters? The body was covering it quite well, wouldn't you say? That's how he missed it. But judging by what I've seen, it doesn't take much for your detective to miss something.
Who do you think you are? You know nothing about me, pal.
There's a lot a person can understand about another from first impressions alone. Can't say I disagree with him on that point.
Why don't you say something, sir? Not you too, Mr. Edgeworth.
Despite his lack of attention to detail, I don't believe the detective to be the culprit. Nobody could have overlooked the bloody letters, and I can prove it with evidence. I couldn't ask for a better setup for the game-finishing spike. And it will be by my final words that you will be brought to justice.
Hold it!
Are you saying that those letters were intended for you? Yup, Jim was an outstanding detective. I'll expect no less from my former partner. It looks like Mr. Portsman still doesn't understand. He has yet to figure out the true meaning behind the bloody letters. What are you sputtering over there? Can't you just admit my logic is perfectly sound? Actually, there's a gigantic flaw in his logic. The gap's so wide even the good detective can spot it. Now to clue Mr. Portsman in by presenting him with some evidence. Okay, so what we're going to be looking for here is we're going to be basically looking for a contradiction. There's something off about what one of these statements that he's saying. I think I know it. You didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding. But here's the thing is that the killer did actually take one of the books. So if the killer took one of the books, he could have written something on it too. So one of the books is gone too. So I think it's this. Stolen file.
Objection!
Perhaps you're not aware, Mr. Portsman, but there's a serious flaw in your logic. Bringing a bit of courtroom into this, I see. No problem, I'm game. I can't help but find it odd. Excuse me? Odd that a fellow prosecutor would be brought down by the power of his own office. What are you talking about? Oh, you're joking, I get it. If you have time to laugh, then you have the time to take another closer look at this. Do you still not see? If not, may I direct your attention to the missing file? Yup. What? That's impossible. What's impossible, Mr. Portsman? Nothing. The files on that shelf are all but about a certain case. When the killer went to take the file after murdering your partner, I highly doubt they could have missed the bloody letters written on the spines.
Objection!
It's possible that they could have taken the file before committing the murder. I think it's pretty obvious that the file was stolen after it was written on. The missing letters in the detective's name, where the file should be, is proof.
Yeah, I mean, the S is gone, and there's only half an H.
If Detective Gumshoe really was the culprit of this case, I highly doubt that even he could overlook his own name written in blood on the files. Especially a detective who can't stand the sight of blood.
Which means, what exactly? What does that make this dying message?
It makes it the work of a criminal intent on tampering with the crime scene.
That's so low. I can't believe the criminal tried to pin this whole thing on me, sir. I'm gonna get him, sir. You'll see. I'm gonna have them under arrest in no time.
Well, Mr. Portsman. Ah, brilliant. Absolutely splendid. Logic deserving of Olympic gold. I appreciate the praise, but it doesn't change the fact that your reasoning is flawed. Meh, you win some and you lose some. That's how life goes.
Glad everyone's so cheery, even though I feel more dead than alive.
Oh, but you know, it really is a shame. I really didn't want to have to bring this up, however.
What is it this time? Are you still after me, pal?
Humor me for a second. Who has the key to this office?
That would be me.
Oh, I know what he's gonna do.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth just proved that I'm innocent, pal.
That's absolutely right, and I acknowledge your innocence. Then why do I sense that you still have something to say? Well, I was thinking, did you know there is one other person with a key to this office? Oh, he's gonna accuse Edgeworth. One other person. Hey, you there? Yes, sir. What is it, sir? Would you kindly fetch and escort that lovely young lady here for me? A lady? The girl is a member of this building's security. Think of her as a material witness.
Security? Did you say security? No, stop it, pal, don't.
What's wrong with him all of a sudden? I believe she needs no introduction. I've called upon Miss Maggie, Bird, a member of security, Byard, Detective Gumshoe, sir. Oh, Maggie.
Maggie.
Yeah, Maggie appears in a, Maggie actually appears in a few other of the earlier Ace Attorney games. Miss, Byard, or Bird? I'm assuming Bird is the security guard on watch tonight. I see, and what your point is? My point is that she could very well have used it. And by it, I mean the master key, which can open all the office doors in this building.
What?
If you are not the guilty party, Detective Gumshoe, then the only other person with access to this room is Miss Bird. How dare you? I would never sneak into someone's room.
That's right, I refuse to believe that Maggie's the culprit, pal. It was me, that's right, I did it.
Can we take that as a confession, Detective?
Well, it wasn't really me, but it definitely wasn't Maggie, pal. So yeah, it was me. If it was, you'd have no problems with that, right?
Please refrain from flying off the handle, Detective. There's no need for such theatrics. Listen to your boss, Detective. He understands, what I'm saying here. That girl is the only one who could have committed the crime. And for one simple reason. Reason for suspicion, oh. Pretty obvious that Miss Bird snuck into your room using the master key. I mean, Detective Gumshoe isn't the one who opened the door. And that leaves only Miss Bird as our prime suspect. On top of which, she knows our good detective, doesn't she? Making it all the more probable that she was the one who faked the dying message. So you're saying she used the master key. This, can open every office door. It's used as controlled by security staff. Incredibly incriminating evidence, wouldn't you say? That's what you claimed about the evidence earlier as well. That was then, this is now. The flow of a good match always changes during a rally. It's all about your reflexes and reaction time, especially for an athlete like me. I wonder if there was anyone else other than Miss Bird who could have used the master key. It seems that the only way to get Miss Portsman to give me more details is to press Mr. Portsman to give me more details to press him. Reason for suspicion. It's pretty obvious that Miss Bird snuck into your room using the master key.
Hold it!
Are you sure Miss Bird is the only member of security who could have used the master key? There's only one person on staff at this time of night, and today she's it. Isn't that right, Miss Bird? That's, true, but I wasn't able to use the master key at the time of the crime, sir. Wasn't able to. What's that supposed to mean? Yes, moving on. I'd hate to get sidetracked by something unrelated.
What do you mean, unrelated? I want to hear what she has to say, pal.
But you can't really trust her not to tell lies. Plus, I hate wasting time. Should I hear Miss Bird out? Ask for more details. Not so fast. I, too, am interested in hearing what Miss Bird has to say. Didn't I just say it'd be a waste of time? We don't need to hear her lies. No, it's not a waste of time. It's not a waste of... Even if it's lies, it's not a waste of time hearing more statements. I'll be the judge of that, Miss Bird. Miss Bird, if you please. I discovered that the master key was missing at around 1 a.m., sir. What do you mean by missing? As in, it wasn't anywhere in the security booth, sir. The killer must have stolen it. Mr. Portsman, I believe this to be an important piece of testimony, don't you? I can't believe that someone like you would be taken in by such words. I'm not lying, sir.
Objection!
If that's the case, then I'd like to know why, you have the master key now. I don't quite know. It just reappeared all of a sudden, sir. Likely story. And where is your proof that the key was stolen to begin with? I bet you just forgot, where you put it and then found it again. He might not have wiped his fingerprints off the key. He might not have done that. I never lose things. I can practically, guarantee that. With me, if something disappears, it's usually because someone stole it.
Yeah, pal. Trust me, you don't want to test just how bad her luck is.
Yeah, she's had some really bad luck. She's been accused of murder before. There was a case where she was accused... Actually, yeah, there's 2 cases where she was accused of murder, actually. In the original Ace Attorney games, and now she's being accused a 3rd time. Unfortunately, I can't deem this piece of testimony as conclusive. Glad you agree, Mr. Edgeworth.
Oh, but... You still haven't established Maggie's motive for breaking into Mr. Edgeworth's office.
Her motive? Didn't we already establish that it was theft? I mean, the culprit clearly went through the bookshelves and at least tried to save. But here's the thing. Here's what Mr. Jacques hasn't explained to us. Is he's claiming that it's theft. But if it's theft, what was the detective doing in the office too? Why was he in their office in the first place? That's what he hasn't explained. It is as Miss Portman says, detective. I can't ignore the fact that all the evidence points towards a motive of theft. But I'm done taking blows. It's time to counterattack with a few facts of my own. Her intent, from the messed up shelves to the wiped down safe, I'd say thievery.
Hold it!
I concur that the culprit's motive appears to have been thievery, however. Glad to hear that the great Miles Edgeworth is in agreement with little old me. However, with regard to the investigation of the bookshelves and safe. Hey, good thinking, asking for my opinion on the matter. Would it be too much for you to allow me to complete a full sentence? I mean, if Detective Gumshoe isn't the one who opened the door...
Hold it!
I thought we had established Detective Gumshoe's innocence pretty thoroughly. It was just a theory, one hypothesis among the many possibilities. I mean, I had my doubts about Miss Bird from the very beginning. If that's the case, then why didn't you mention her first? Now, don't make that face, see? There goes the truth, running the other way. Let's pick up the pace and see if we can catch up to it. I don't think you're catching my drift. But we are in agreement that the detective isn't the killer, right? If so, then I hope you understand when I say that since she's the only one who could have opened your office door, that leaves only Miss Bird as our prime suspect.
Hold it!
Don't you think it's a bit early to be jumping to conclusions? Are you saying there's another way to open the door other than with the master key? Oh, I get it. Perhaps you had a spare made for someone else. I'll have you know, I have never made a spare. So what are you insinuating? Nothing. Guess I should have known better than to suggest that someone like you would. On top of which, she knows her good detective, doesn't she?
Hold it!
Is there anyone in this district who hasn't at least heard of Detective Gumshoe? Good point. He's practically a celebrity among us prosecutors.
Really? I never knew I was so talked about, sir.
We're holding our collective breath, you know? For when you screw up so badly that you're literally chased off the course.
Wait, oh, what? Is that true, Mr. Edgeworth?
Of course not. That's hogwash.
Whew. Don't scare me like that. I almost had a heart attack. There.
Making it all that more probable that she was the one who faked the dying message.
Hold it!
By dying message, you mean the bloody letters that spell out Gumshoe. I figured that whoever wrote his name must have wanted to frame him. And just the act of choosing his name is proof enough that the two knew each other well.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and present some evidence!
I would love to. But first, we should listen a bit more and digest what he is saying. And press him for more information. To think that it's so easy to take a life, with just the pull of a trigger.
You know, I can't ever see myself really liking guns. Oh, but I love the ones, they use at the track and field to meets to start races. If you take off before it's fired, everyone always ends up following your lead.
To chase you down for a false start, detective.
Now that you mention it, even when I finish first, I always wind up in the last place.
Oh, here we go. Each prosecutor has one in their office. Only they know of them. This is it. Only prosecutors know about the safes, so he would know that.
Objection!
Do you wish to continue insinuating that Miss Bird was set on stealing something? Why not? It's the truth, after all. It was also by your logic that we came to the whole thievery conclusion anyway. That may be, but you must also be aware of the fact that that the safe is a secret safe. The existence of which is only privy to prosecutors. Ah. I find it a little hard to believe that a hidden safe was a part of her cunning plan. But she could have found it by accident while she was turning everything else upside down. I highly doubt that. I'd say the culprit knew exactly what they were looking for. After all, only the bookshelf and the safe were targeted.
Yeah, even I didn't know about that safe, pal. And that means there's no way Maggie could have known about it either.
Then are you proposing that the killer is a prosecutor? Yeah. Interesting conclusion. That's definitely looking more and more probable. What's wrong, prosecutor? Do you have a different suspect in mind now? Curses, why? What made you...
What's with the angry face all of a sudden?
It's all my fault. What do you mean? It's Jim. He knew about the existence of the secret safes. What did you just say? We were partners, like inseparable conjoined twins. That's why I told him. I filled him in on the secret safes. Then that means... Yeah, I know. I'd only just told him to, obviously. It was wrong of me to tell him. I still can't quite believe it. But the thief who broke into your room was probably Jim. Now he's claiming that the victim was the thief. And you were simply trying to stop him, weren't you? Miss Maggie Bird. Excuse me? I mean, you are a security guard, right? That's your job. But killing is going a bit too far, even if you're in your risky profession.
What the? You're still accusing Maggie of the murder?
Yes and no. I mean, she had stumbled upon Jim, who had probably drawn his gun.
I get it. It was self-defense, wasn't it?
No, I couldn't. I could never do something like that. Not even as a security guard, sir.
Plus, even if he was the thief, he wouldn't have a key to this office.
Which is precisely why you had to steal it, wouldn't you say?
It was Jim who stole the master key.
Ah. Pretty impossible for a supposedly stolen key to be here with us, unless...
Well, unless you retrieved it from Jim after you killed him.
Mr. Portsman, are you honestly accusing your own partner of being a thief? I don't want to admit it, but it's the only way for everything else to make sense. Has he no honor?
Now then, I think we're done here. The investigation waits for no man.
Would you people be so kind as to see yourselves out?
You can't kick us out. This is Mr. Edgeworth's office.
But I'm the one who's been assigned to this case. You are all suspects to varying degrees, and therefore ineligible to run the show. Actually, he would be ineligible to run this as well, because if you have any personal connection to a case, you will never be put on that case.
Listen, pal, how many times do I have to say this? Maggie can't be the culprit.
Detective Gumshoe, calm yourself.
But, sir...
We have no choice but to accommodate his request. For now. Haha, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. At least one of you understands. Now then, if you could remove yourselves from my crime scene, I'd be most grateful. Mark my words, Mr. Portsman, we will meet again. If that's a formal request from the legendary prosecutor himself, then I suppose so.
Now don't disappoint me, you hear?
To be continued. Okay. So I guess we will leave it off here. I always leave it off on the to be continued pages. That's pretty much where I always end it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this part. If you did, do drop a like, and we will solve this murder on the next part. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.